morning. Today we're going to have a look at hydrangea pruning, and in this case we're going to look at the lace cap hydrangeas. So you can see that this has a very flattened flower structure or inflorescence, as opposed to the mopheads or those long sort of panicle hydrangea paniculata. And the pruning of them is all just a little bit different. If you have a mophead, what we do is we look for the buds just below the flower and we cut back to them. If it's a lace cap like this, we have a choice. We can prune them back to 2 below, or some people do 1 or 2, just a really strong set of leaves. And if it's the paniculata, we can prune them a bit harder. They flower a little bit more on the ends of the growth, a bit more like a buddleia, so we can prune them harder back to a framework. Now with hydrangeas, you'll notice that what happens is the flower actually, just below that, it kind of withers. And so this is protecting the bud below. And so it's always a good idea to leave the buds on this flower heads until the spring, so that it's given a bit of protection. If they weren't there, then what you'd get is this would die back to the next set of buds. But now is a good time. We're now into sort of late March and we can cut these back. The other thing to look at, of course, is there any sort of replacement shoots coming through? So you can see here some nice replacement shoots. It says one at the front here, a replacement shoot. That will take over from some of these older ones in the future. Generally speaking, this kind of hydrangea flowers on previous season's growth, and so some of the older shoots you can keep, but you do want to send up some new ones, some new shoots like that. Also watch out for the shoots coming out the side, because they might mess up the shape. So we're going to have a look at that and we'll get stuck into some pruning. So as with any kind of pruning, take a good look at the plant, have a look at the shape. You see it's a nice rounded shape, so we want to preserve some of that. There is some branches at the base that will want pruning off. There'll be some crossing branches, you'll see plenty of those. Some that you can simplify, where you've got 3 and you can take out a middle piece and just give it a bit more air and a bit more circulation to reduce any diseases. So what we'll do, we'll just start pruning back and have a look. I'm just having a look if there's anything obvious that needs pruning out, and apart from a couple of sort of crossing ones down here, which I'll prune off, a couple of there, just prune them some old, take them out. There's one that's a bit too low, take that out. And we'll just take off this side one here, simplify this, take off these bottom ones that are really not going to help the shape, take them off. And now what I can do is have a look at a bit of simplification. You see that this balance here now, there's one there that's kind of weak and hanging very low. I'm going to take that off. Another one by the side of it, not a great shoot. And then you can see now that the balance is slightly different. It's a bit heavier here rather than that side. So what we're going to do, where this one's coming out at an angle, it's coming out quite horizontal, I'm going to take that to just balance it up at the beginning. So I'm going right back and taking that off. I need to take that one off as well. There we go. And partly taking these off, it'll be a bit easier for mowing when you come round that side. And again, this one at the front, and then that's a little bit big for the secateurs, so anything bigger than about a pencil or finger thickness, we want to go to the loppers. And you can see there's one growing out the side here, but it has got some nice shoots growing up. So I don't want to remove all of that. So what I'll do on this one is take it back to a junction just here. And then there's a couple of not so good ones there. Take that out. Right, now we're getting there. So you can see now I've sort of balanced those up a bit. There's a few around the back to come out, which I'll take off. And then what we'll do is just reduce it back to the leaf. So the normal practice when you are pruning these is just take it back to a couple of buds below, and that's the sort of normal kind of pruning of something like a lace cap. If it's a thin one, spindly, less than a sort of about pencil thickness, just take it out back to a lateral. Okay, so same here. Take those back. Nice replacement shoot here. Take that back to a nice pair of buds. And this one, if there's 4, 1, 2, 3, 4 here, obviously that one's going to come off, but you can, if you want to, take out a middle one. So if I wanted to just simplify this, I could take out the middle one and then take that back to a couple of nice buds. Take that one back to there. That one back down to, I think we'll go down to about there. And you can see now it's sort of opened that up. If you've got a crossing branch here, you could actually remove one of them. On this one, we'll just prune that back to a good strong set of buds there. And that's going to be roughly about my height, but I'm going to take it up and around to maintain that lovely round shape. Okay, so what I'll do, I'm going to work around the back to balance up the base, and then we'll just take it up, take it round, and then a little bit of thinning. So I'll just work it around the back here. I need to do a bit of work around this side to balance it on this side now. So what I'm going to do is to take out some of these lower shoots. In fact, I could take that out with one shot with my loppers. And again, I'm going to go in really quite low here. Hook the loppers round, get as low as I can. I don't leave a stub. Take that off. And the same again on the next one. I can get in and just remove that. Then you've got these spindly ones which you don't want. So we're going to just prune them back. One there. What we'll do is we'll just take that back. And now there's a couple of kind of thin ones there, which again are growing out quite a lot. That one's certainly growing out and crossing. I'll take that out. I think I'll take all of that out actually. Try and trace it back. There we go. And then we've got one here. Take that back to a stem. And then there's a big one out the back here growing out the side, which would. So there's one here that's messing up the shape. So again, we'll take that back. And then I've just got one here. So now I've kind of got the shape back, and I've just got to now start to do my normal pruning, just cutting back. There's one or two I'm going to simplify here. I've got a lot of buds going, and here I've got a lot growing in there. So I'm just going to just simplify that a little bit. Take out a middle one. Here's a thin one that's falling away anyway. Here I've got some crossing branches. So again, where it's crossing into, well no, I'm just going to thin that out next to the stem. And then cut them back to a decent set of buds. to the base. Just checking there's another one there, nothing on it at all. And as you prune, you begin to see more, so it gets easier. You can see the bits that do want to come out, like these thin spindly pieces, or if you've got any stubs or anything like that. But that now got that shape to it. We've cut it back. There's a couple more flower heads here to come off. I think we're about there. So that's the shape is back there in the hydrangea. We've got it open for a bit of circulation. We've cut back a few old shoots to let the new ones up. And we've removed the lace caps and cut back to either one or two till you got a nice strong pair of buds. And then that will shoot, and that hopefully should give us some nice flowers next year. So that's a little bit on pruning hydrangeas. Remember that the paniculatas, you can cut them a bit harder back and create a candelabra framework. We don't have a paniculata here, but I'll show you on a buddleia in a second just how you could prune a hydrangea paniculata. And then of course the Hydrangea petiolaris, the climbing hydrangea, you prune that after it's flowered. However, another way of pruning buddleia, of course, is to pick out a shape, and I call this the Candelabra method of pruning, where you pick out a shape and you cut it back to that framework. So think of that candelabra kind of thing, and then get shoots off that, and they're nicely spaced out. You try and keep the centre a little bit more open sometimes, and you can then prune it back to the candelabra each year. And what we'll do now, a little bit of a shoot to the right, so we'll take the candelabra a little bit that way, and then we'll just take it down to, started at that one, thin one behind it, and there you go. So that's that buddleia. Now they flower at the end of the summer, buddleias do, and a lot of plants that flower in the end of this season's growth flower at the end of the summer, so you're safe to cut them back if they flower on the end of this season's growth, because they grow, take all summer to grow, then they flower on the ends, and so you're safe to cut it back. So I've made a little candelabra, and that's going to create a nice framework every year to cut back to and get a nice display. So why not have a go at the candelabra pruning and see how you get on. You can do this with Hydrangea paniculata, with buddleias. You could do this with lavatera. You could do it with Caryopteris would work. So anything sort of that flowers on the end of this season's growth, you can kind of cut that back quite hard. Hypericum could do that as well, to create that nice different way of pruning.